Hello and welcome to Red Rondo for the first transfer show with me, Kevin Ferris. And across the summer, it's going to be a busy summer for the Reds. It's already been a busy summer with a couple of players through the door. And joining me for the first episode, we have a very special guest for this one, for this busy window so far. Steve Plunkett, as seen on the REDMEN TV and BBC Radio Merseyside, and most importantly, a Liverpool fan as well. Steve, how are you?
I'm fine, enjoying the transfer window like all the Reds are. So, uncharted territory, this really, isn't it, in recent years, seeing this type of kind of movement. So, yeah, it's all good, and hopefully it continues.
Definitely so. I mean, this window, it's kind of the early moves from Liverpool. It's kind of like they're just wanting to get their business done early, get it out of the way, and kind of get set up for pre-season, which is only a couple of weeks away now.
Absolutely, and with the likes of Frimpong, with these guys that've got release clauses, you just don't know who's going to sit around the table at another football club and say, actually, we could do with a right back. So who's available? And there's a winner who's won the Bundesliga and other trophies with Leverkusen and is a seasoned international and is not particularly expensive as far as footballers go these days. So those are the ones you want to get done early doors because you kind of need to get after your targets, after your transfers, get them in, like you say, get them ready for pre-season. And he's an exciting addition to the squad as well.
And you talk about Jeremy Frimpong there. What have you made of the transfer window so far? The kind of the tactic from Liverpool to get it done so early, as you say, you don't know when players are going to want to sit down, and kind of it's probably best for Liverpool to get it all out of the way and kind of get their ducks in a row in a sense so early in the window.
Absolutely, and given that certainly Manchester City are knee deep in this World Club Championship thing now, which probably, if you ask the clubs who are not in it, is a little bit of a heaven send. We get to get our new players in, we get to get them adjusted to the club, we get them adjusted to the training, understanding what the manager wants, get to know their teammates, build relationships on the pitch, whether it be training or friendlies. It's really, really important. And it gives you a little bit of a head start. The earlier you get them in, and you can get them all through the door on day one of pre-season training, you're not adding another body to an already large squad of players and asking them to go and make relationships on the football pitch, because ultimately those are the things that win you games of football. You look at I know he's gone now, but you look at the relationship Trent and Salah had, that's pivotal. Look at the relationship Firmino had with both Mane and Salah, that was pivotal. We could sit here and name loads of connections across the pitch, but those are the reasons why, if you can, you do your work quickly and you get your players on board rather as quickly as you can.
And you talk about connections between players on the field. There's a new signing that was announced yesterday. There's a very strong connection with one of our players, Dominic Szoboszlai, obviously, Milos Kerkez coming in. Kind of what impact do you think he's going to have at left back? And do you think he's going to be kind of getting that first place in the squad at left back? Or will he have to kind of fight for position in a way when he comes in?
I think medium to long term, we all know that's going to be the left back for years to come. I think talk of Andy Robertson's demise is a little bit previous. I don't think we're quite there yet. So I do think, given what is needed from that position, what is needed within the team, the leadership qualities, what Andy Robertson brings, I think Kerkez will have to unseat him as the first choice left back. I don't think Andy Robertson's ready to throw the towel in yet. And obviously with Atletico Madrid signing Ruggeri from Atalanta, that shuts down that possible link of him moving out to there. So I didn't want him to go. Of the three left backs in the football club, the obvious solution is to let Tsimikas go and get some football somewhere, whether it be in the Premier League with a Nottingham Forest, who've sort of looked admiringly across at him once or twice, or abroad. That would be the one of the three that I would potentially let leave. And then I let Robbo stay in, because remember, James Milner was probably, from a Liverpool club point of view, past his best, but was in the club because of what he gave in terms of professionalism, the model pro, dealing with all the issues, and never got as far as the management team. You have to have players like that. And Andy Robertson is very much that character, even at 31. Yeah. So he's got his work cut out to keep his place for sure. But Kerkez is not coming in to be a reserve. But I think he'll take a little bit of a time to, in similarly to how Fabinho adjusted into our midfield, it might take a couple of weeks, couple of months for him to get fully up to speed and understand what's needed from him, from the manager.
And as you say there, if there's one player in the Liverpool squad, you kind of link up to James Milner there, Andy Robertson's not going to give up his place for anybody. He's going to fight for it if he's still got a chance at still getting his place at Liverpool. Speaking of players that kind of might not be here kind of at the start of the season, You know, there's been a lot of links with maybe Darwin Nunez moving on, Chiesa possibly going back to Italy, and then maybe Harvey Elliott. We'll start with Darwin Nunez. Of course, a striker is a position that Liverpool have been massively linked with. You know, Alexander Isak and Victor Gyökeres as well. Kind of, if and when Darwin does go, who would be the one that you'd be thinking, yeah, the Liverpool need to get him if we want to kind of bolster that attacking line?
I think the Nunes thing is inevitable that he will move. We brought a player that played a lot alone up front for Benfica and often gravitated towards the left-hand side. If you look at the heat map for his goals, that's predominantly where they came from. So for me, trying to turn him into an orthodox number 9 to lead the line, he's got a lot of attributes. He's got a lot of raw talent, but he doesn't have the football intelligence. And that's not a criticism. That's just how it is. He doesn't have the football intelligence for me to lead the line, when to make the runs, when to hold, when to bring other players into play. He's a little bit too erratic. The players around him can't gauge and make runs off him or second guess what he's going to do because he doesn't know. So it's not a criticism of him. He's an instinctive player that for Benfica was absolutely electric because he ran the whole front line himself. And but for a couple of offside flags, he might well have put us out of Europe a few years ago. At Anfield, he was a real handful that night. And I think certain other leagues, certainly the Italian league and the Spanish league, where the build-up play is slower, and then he's more explosive in the final third. Those are the attributes that he potentially could use in either of those two leagues. If he does go, I think the name on everybody's lips is Alexander Isak. He has to be somebody that we target. I'm not a massive fan of Gyökeres because he's along the lines of an Erling Haaland in the sense that you put the ball into an area, he will score you goals, but
Yeah.
it kind of makes you a little bit one-dimensional in doing that. So, City struggled a little bit in that adaptation, but then they had Kevin De Bruyne who could put the ball anywhere you want on the football pitch. So he benefited from that. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer that we'd all want Isak. I think that would be the one to go for. I think, the stories of Newcastle going to make him their highest paid player ever on
Yeah.
£150,000 a week. I'm not sure on £150,000 a week you're justifying to him his tag as the hottest property in a number 9 shirt in world football right now. And the
Yeah.
guy, if you do sell him, you're going to be asking the club that buy him for something in the region of £150 million. The salary, the standing in football, and the expectation of what transfer fee they might get from him just don't work alongside each other. He's going to be sitting down with Newcastle saying, "You need to be doubling that. I'm worth £300,000 a week, and there's clubs out there that will give it to me." And I think Liverpool Football Club's one of those.
Yeah, and as you say, kind of, it seems this summer, money doesn't seem to be a barrier for Liverpool in any sense. They seem to be going, this is who we want. We're going to get them the kind of in the way we want to get them, and money isn't an issue, kind of a way. We'll move on to kind of another player that could be leaving, and maybe a little bit of a cryptic Instagram post at the final game of the season. Harvey Elliott kind of absolutely tearing up for the England under-21, scored those 2 goals in the semi-final against the Netherlands. And I saw you tweeted after that about his performance and kind of maybe tactical issues is the reason why he's not didn't get the minutes last season for Liverpool. Kind of, why do you think that was, and do you think there's a way back for him? And if not, kind of where would be the best place for Harvey Elliott?
So if we change shape to accommodate Florian Wirtz and we play a second forward or a number 10, then Harvey Elliott's quite capable of playing in that position. You're right, the tweet did say Harvey Elliott excels again in a free role. But in last season's Liverpool team, he didn't have a free role, he had responsibilities. The issue for Harvey is a physical issue, not an ability issue. He got all the ability in the world, and he's showing that this week in the under-21s. But he doesn't win physical battles. He doesn't win 50-50 balls. He doesn't win the duels. And when he doesn't win the duels, he's not got the speed to get back to that player and potentially win the ball back. And we're talking about Dominic Szoboszlai being his chief rival for a place in the Liverpool team, who is the leading recoveries midfielder in the Premier League and has been for over 12 months now. So that's the battle he's got to face. When it breaks down, is Harvey Elliott a little bit of a luxury? And that's not a criticism of the lad. He's a wonderful footballer, great touch, always looks forward, gets the ball out of his feet. Is an exciting player to watch and has added goals recently to his game. I would be slightly sad, but fully understanding if Harvey Elliott went and got games of football because he needs to play. When you've got that ability, you need to play. I don't know if sitting in a room with him and saying, right, we've just signed a £116 million attacking midfielder, you're going to be an understudy to him. Whether that's enough, it shouldn't be if you're a serious footballer and you've got aspirations. He clearly likes playing for England, so the opportunity to do that will be limited. Sitting on the bench, doing the 60-30 with Florian Wirtz and playing in Carabao Cup and fixtures like that. So I don't think any Liverpool fan would begrudge him the opportunity to go and be a superstar somewhere else, rather than a impact sub off the bench, as good as he is at that, because he very often gives us the impetus that's missing when he comes on after an hour and we've gone a bit flat. There's an injection in the team, and it often comes from him. Don't think that's enough for him. And if he's honest with himself, and we're honest with ourselves, it shouldn't be enough for him either.
Yeah, 100%. I think, as you said there, it's never been an ability issue with Harvey Elliott. We've known for the last number of years he's more than capable of doing it. It's maybe just as you say, kind of the work rate that Dominic Szoboszlai is so lauded for is off the ball work. Kind of that's hard to compete with, especially for anybody in the Liverpool squad, and that's why he's probably one of the best at it at the minute, Dominic Szoboszlai. But before we finish, we're talking about Liverpool not really having any boundaries or kind of any barriers in what they want to do this summer. But if you to kind of pinpoint a player or a position or something that Liverpool have to do that might be a little bit more tricky or maybe more of a long shot for them this summer, is there anything you could pinpoint, like anything that you'd go and think, yeah, that would be unbelievable if Liverpool did that, but is that really realistic? Is there anything that kind of sticks out in your mind?
You go back to Alexander Isak, because at some point Mo Salah's not going to be with us. You know, he's as wonderful as he is. He's advancing in his age. He's in his last 2 years. He'll be nearly 35 by the time that comes to an end. We have to have a look at what the future looks like now. When he goes to AFCON, it would be really interesting to see Bradley at right back and Frimpong at right midfield. You would not want to be a left back playing against that, because those two guys want to go past you. They want to get to the byline and they want to pull the ball back into the box, which is, as we've seen with Manchester City in recent years, very hard to defend. We have to have a look at what our future looks like, and our future looks like a world-class number 9 now is needed. What we have to take, the caveat to that is anyone that joins our football club for a time will have to play as a sort of a second fiddle to Mo Salah, because Mo Salah's the star man. Mo Salah's the best in the world in his position. Mo Salah wants to break records and will continue to break records. And Isak's clever enough to play sort of in a slightly deeper role, releasing Mo Salah into positions where he can score goals. But then at some point, we've got to say, right, Mo Salah won't be here and there won't be another Mo Salah because he's a one-off.
Yeah.
What does the future look like? And the future looks like Wirtz behind a world-class number 9, Gakpo potentially on the left, Frimpong or another on the right. Suddenly you've changed the whole shape of the final third of your pitch, what it looks like, the tactics behind that, what you're expecting from those players. And you've got to have the right man to do it. And it's difficult because Newcastle can't be bullied for money. We know that. Yeah. They can be bullied for contracts because there's a ceiling in every football club's growth. And Newcastle's probably reached theirs in terms of salaries. They've not got £300,000 a week to give anybody. So it is what it is. And we need to capitalise on that. If I could have one player to sign before the end of the transfer window, it would be my first, second, and third choice would be that man, purely because he's got everything. The goal he scored when he touched it round Van Dijk and smashed it in the top corner. That people are blaming Van Dijk for that. That's just exceptional forward play. To finish in the Carabao Cup final, he's got a second to think about that, and it just happens. It's natural. The 2 goals he scored at Anfield in the league a couple of seasons ago, where he pulled the ball down in Thierry Henry positions and just guided the ball along the floor into the far corner. Examples of exceptional finisher. That's what we lack at the moment, because Mo Salah does have sort of a 6-week period in the season when he goes off the boil a little bit. And thankfully for us, Luis Diaz stepped up at the end of the season to give us a little bit of impetus to take us over the line. But world-class number 9 score you goals from day one to the final day of your season. And if they go and score 25, 30 goals, you're in the conversation when they're handing out the trophies at the end of the season. And that guy would be absolutely, well, he'd be wonderful. He'd be absolutely brilliant for Liverpool.
Yeah. If Alexander Isak came through the door, I think every Liverpool fan would agree it would be like a 10 out of 10 kind of transfer window, and we're still only in late June as well. It's just remarkable. And speaking of that transfer window, just before I leave you, the final question, kind of, if you had to rank those that have come into the team, I think probably might know the answer of who you think is going to be kind of top of that list. But if you were to kind of rank the 3 big signings that have come in this summer. Of course, Marmardashvili's coming in as well. But Frimpong, Kirkes and Wirtz, if you kind of look at over the season, at the end of next season and go, kind of rank them on who's had the most impact for Liverpool and kind of who's solidified their place in the team, who would you kind of put in what position?
Wirtz for me will sit at the top of that pile because he's creative, and we've lacked that creativity in midfield. We've tried to do it with Szoboszlai playing him further up the pitch, slightly inside Mo Salah, and he's been effective to a point. But Wirtz is of a different level. The other two are really interesting because they've both got jobs on to unseat the people playing in their fullback positions. Bradley is closer to the first team than a lot of people give him credit for in terms of has he nailed that shirt down. So it's Frimpong's job to take it off him. I think Bradley starts the season, personally speaking. And then across on the other side, you've got Andy Robbo, who won't go without a fight. Kirkes is clearly sort of I don't like this word, but it's kind of like watching an Andy Robertson regen in terms of the energy, the ability to get up and down, and when he's up, and when it breaks down, he's got the athleticism to get back and contribute defensively as well. So I think Frimpong might have a slightly easier job unseating his fullback than Kirkes will with Robertson, because Robertson's been there, seen it, and done it all. And sometimes it's what you're saying you do off the ball, not when you've got the ball, that makes a difference. And Bradley doesn't have that experience yet. So and he is good, but does pick up a few little niggles and a few little injuries. But I think all four of those guys will share plenty of minutes across the season. And that's great. That gives us squad depth. That means when we need to do the 60-30, because we're playing 3 times in a week, those guys are our go-tos. And if you've got 4 fullbacks vying for starting places in your club that look like that, you're in a really, really strong position going into the season.
Yeah, it's going to be a great season when it comes around, Steve. And we've still got so much of the transfer window to come. Who knows what's going to happen? And if we're all fingers crossed and dreaming, hopefully it's Alexander Isak that comes in next. But who knows? Liverpool have got this way of kind of pulling transfers out of nowhere and links out of nowhere. So who knows who could be in the red shirt come the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for giving up your time, and it's been great to speak with you on the first transfer show. Thank you very much, Steve.